There's a lot of plastic in the world. We actually consume 500 billion drinking cups a year worldwide, which is ridiculous. I can't even consider how big a billion is, let alone 500 billion. And that's not even counting just the lids. So, Marky and I have been collecting lids and cups since they stopped taking them at our local recycling. We decided we had to do something with them. And now I've come up with what I can do with them. First, take some of the old plastic and chop it up into small pieces. Now keep in mind, different kinds of plastic can be mixed together and you might end up with different melting points. Using an old blender, grind it up into kind of a powder. And then oil up a pan, preferably in an old pan that you don't care about. The oil will help it from sticking, but the plastic is still going to stick to some degree. Once you put that in there, you can stick it in a toaster oven at about 350 to 450 degrees. And then over time, it melts down into this kind of glass-like substance. Now, I built this press so that I could get it into a nice uniform flat layer. And once again, oiling the wood keeps that plastic from sticking. And then I pull that out and smush it in there using very heavy gloves to make sure that you're not burning yourself. And then over a little bit of molding and pressing, you're able to get it into essentially a square shape. And then take the other piece of wood and really press it down hard. Now, I also then took this wood and used C-clamps to really try to flatten it. Notice that I'm using 2x6s here because 2x6s, of course, won't break as easily. And even at that point, there's a huge amount of pressure on here. So then later, probably about 15 minutes or so, when it cools down, you take it apart and you have yourself a nice little plate of plastic here. It has kind of rough edges. So all I need to do is pull out my saw and then square it off with a few quick cuts. Once that's done, and if I got my thickness right, it's going to fit nicely into a slot, which then I can use for something like a picture frame, or in the future, maybe a lampshade. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is keeping that plastic from going into the landfill as best we can. And I think this is an interesting way of using stuff that's otherwise just garbage.